Hello. How are you, Addie?
Good, how are you?
Very, very good. So you and I met your papa, Kelly. We met out at Redneck Mud Park, and you crawled up on the back of the redneck buggy. And here is this girl that reminds me a lot of myself when I was younger. And I think Papa says the same thing about both of us. We talk way too much. You
Yes, he
agree?
yes.
So introduce yourself to our followers and let them know who Addie is.
Addie is a 12 going on 13-year-old girl who goes to ECS and lives in Fort Myers and likes to ride four-wheelers, go fishing, go hunting, and is very active and outside all the time.
Good, good. So you're on here tonight with me, and you are my special co-host. And hi, Essie. So I don't know if you can see Addie. I know this is your first time, but people will comment. Can you see where Essie just commented? She said, "Hi, Addie."
Yes, I did.
Okay, so you will see that over there in the comments section that people can talk and ask questions to you. They can ask questions to me, and we answer them the best that we can. Okay,
Okay.
so I brought you on, and I hope that you're going to be on many more Florida Country and kind of being a co-host with me. And tonight we're going to talk about kids fishing.
Yes,
Um,
we are.
yeah, so we did an article on fishing with kids, and I thought it would be really, really good to have you on there, and you can kind of tell us, your family plays a really important role in Southwest Florida, and you come from your dad. Everyone loves to spearfish and fish. So, when did you start fishing?
Um, well, for as long as I can remember, I just remember growing up and always being like my dad was always big on just being outside and always doing something active. But I remember we used to have a small little boat and we would go out there every Saturday if we could before the winter and we would just cast and see what we caught.
Nice. What's your favorite memories of fishing and so forth?
Um, well, I love to do it with my cousin Riley. We're about the same age, and we get along really well. I've known her my whole life, and we'll go out there on the boat together with my papa, and we'll catch as many as we can. Probably like snapper. That's yellowtail's usually what we get, and we'll bring back. We'll come back and we'll have a big fish fry for everybody, and it's super fun.
Wow. So I'm talking about you go fishing with Papa a lot.
Most of the time, yes. Actually, this past Sunday we went, and we
Uh-huh.
also went with my siblings, Riley's siblings, and my cousin Kelly, who's about like 7 years old, and he's very funny.
I think Papa's having trouble getting onto our live. So I'm looking down trying to answer him. Hi, Michelle. How are you? So I'm talking about who's the better fisherman, you or Papa?
I mean, I
Fisherwoman.
I would rather say me, but according to Papa, he'll say him, which I can agree with because he has been doing it for like a lot longer, like
Well,
a
that doesn't
lot
make him
longer.
the better. That doesn't really necessarily make him the better fisherman, though. You know,
True.
I I probably would out fishing too. You know, I I think he's a lot more talk about being a great fisherman. I think us women kind of rule. We
Yeah.
won't tell him that. Hopefully, he's still having some technical error to get on here, but I kind of go with you, Addie, that you'll out fishing.
Me too.
So what do you think is important? Do you like talk to your friends? Hi, Jose. Do you talk to your friends and so forth about fishing and stuff like that?
Um, well, I know that, like, I've So we went on this fun vacation. It was to Panama, and the nice. It was one of those more like high end ones. But we went out fishing one day, and I just remember coming back to Florida and just go and blabbing on all about it, saying I caught the biggest fish, even though that probably wasn't true. But when I do something like, if it's just like a regular fishing day, I won't. But if it's something like extravagant, then I'll be like, yeah.
So, do you feel that fishing is a great bonding experience? Like when you go out with Papa or your dad or your family, do you feel like do you enjoy that? Is it a great bonding experience? Would you recommend other people to go fishing with their kids or grandkids?
100%. I mean, I've been doing it my whole life, and every time we go out, we wake up early, we go, and it's so fun. It's like you it kind of shows kids how to be like you're providing for your family. Normally, when you fish, you would catch it and you'd eat it, right? And it's
Right.
like instead of the parents always doing that, it kind of gives the kids an opportunity to really show what they've done. And I think that's really awesome.
I do too. So, what do you think? Like, can you cook? Do you
I
cook?
can. I've actually done a few cooking camps and I really like them. And sometimes I'll cook a few times for my family when I can. My dad loves to teach me how to cook. He taught my mom, and my mom didn't know how to cook at all, and he taught her, and he's taught all of us. I have two sisters, so we all kind of know it by now.
Well, good. Jose said that you're super cute and God bless you that you're so smart. So I
Thank
agree,
you.
Jose. I was very impressed because I just don't let anybody on the podcast. And I was very impressed with you. And you love to do this kind of stuff, right, Addie?
I do. I actually do this kind of at school. I do a video production, and it's one of my favorite electives. So I sit and do the school news for everyone, and people will come back. They'll be like, "I saw you on the news," and like some kids who I don't even know will be like, the teacher will ask them, "Do you know her?" And they'll be like, "I know her from the news." So it's really a fun hobby that I do.
Yeah, it's really neat. So, what are your face? What do you think are your favorite places to go fishing
Um.
in
Well.
Southwest Florida? You like to fish
Um.
offshore and onshore?
Definitely offshore. Even though my cousins have a smaller boat, so they go inshore. Plus, they live on the water. They'll do inshore, and I've gone fishing with them a few times. I've caught in like a redfish or whatever it's called. I forgot, but that's okay. But
Redfish are inshore.
yes, and so, but I usually fish offshore because my dad's just used to that.
Okay.
So he's done that. He like doesn't know how to fish inshore. So we've always gone offshore pretty much.
Yeah, I know a few people like that. Like really,
Hmm.
actually my best friend, like they know all about offshore fishing, but they don't really do any back bay fishing. And I like to go back bay. Like when my kids were growing up, my kids are in their 30s now, but I always enjoyed like it was a special time for me to take my kids out and go fishing and teach them, like you said, like it's important. Like, do you bait your own hook?
Yes, I do.
I believe it. What would you say? Because I still fish with adults that can't bait their hook. So, what's your best recommendation for grabbing that shrimp out of that bait bucket?
Well, okay, so I actually have a sister who's like deathly afraid of everything. And she won't pick up a fish. She'll fish, but
Okay.
she won't pick it up. She won't like hold it by the gills like nothing. And bait, she's like super afraid of. Like we caught these little small fish one time, and they were jumping around the boat. She was like, and it was so funny. But I would say I've seen people use gloves. Well, I'm gonna go off her. She uses gloves, but I just think honestly, if you just take a shrimp, you just stick it under. It's kind of an easier thing if you just get it done with.
What's your favorite thing? Do you like to fish with live bait or frozen bait? What do you like to use?
Well, it doesn't really matter to me, but I feel like it's what you're fishing for, and what makes what the fish catch easily, like what they like more. So I feel like that's always live bait. They tend to like that more. I've seen
Believe.
like depending on what type, like if you were catching dolphin or mahi mahi, you would want to use like a lure.
Now we're not
But
catching like real bottlenose dolphin, right? We're talking about the
no,
fish,
yeah,
not
we're talking
like
about
you said.
the fish
That's
dolphin.
a she's not catching any real dolphin out there, so nobody get upset.
No, I don't think. I think it would pull me over if I tried.
Right?
Um, yeah.
And they like live bait. They typically like live bait, or I used to rig ballyhoo all the time when I was growing up. That was my
Really?
job. My dad had me making rigs out of ballyhoo, so I'm pretty good at doing that. Have you ever done any stuff like that, like doing rigs with the with bait to do that?
Um.
Trolling any stuff?
Oh, we've definitely trolled before. Like I said, in Panama, we trolled, and I took bone and I was like sleepy all day, so I don't remember a lot of it. But we trolled and we caught blackfin tuna actually, because it was their season, so that was cool. Plus, I love that, so that was yummy. And then, but no, I haven't really done a lot of what you just. Sorry.
Hey, you gotta. I'm talking. That's fine. I'm talking. Maybe Daddy or Papa can teach you that sometime. I'm talking about making rigs for trolling. That was my job, and my brothers didn't like it, and I loved it. That was my favorite thing to do because I was very good at it. I was very meticulous about tying the wire around the ballyhoo, and getting that going and cutting the ballyhoo perfect to get the hook in there and everything. And it's a skill. It really is a skill, and I had it for some reason making those rigs.
So,
So go
I have a
ahead.
question for you. Um,
Sure.
like, what is your favorite? Do you like offshore or inshore more?
Well, so I'm a big tarpon fan. So I lived
Really?
on Fort Myers Beach for a long time. And my favorite thing, I was off of Hercules and we had a dock down there. And my favorite thing was between February and May, the tarpon would run the back bays. So I knew most of the time I wasn't going to land a big tarpon back there because they head right for the docks. But my favorite thing was to catch catfish, and they love catfish tails. And I would throw my catfish tail out there on my pin rod and let it go. And either I would get a shark or most of the time was tarpon. But I love tarpon. I'm talking about it's a fascinating fish to catch, and they put on a fight, and I love it. It was the thrill of it. So I'd say tarpon. I've been out to Boca Grande, and that's too chaotic for me. Everybody on the boat, and got hammerhead sharks coming, trying to get either your tarpon or your bait, and too many boats too close. So I enjoy being probably on the bay, but I do like deep sea fishing.
Deep sea, that's a fun one.
Because you never know what you're going to catch.
Yeah.
You really don't.
Yeah. Also, it's nice because it's like when you're just tired, you don't really want to do anything. I call it it's like more of a lazy fishing because you just
Uh-huh.
get your electric rod, drop it, and see what happens.
Electric rod. I
That's
didn't.
what
I
we
didn't.
use.
I know nothing about electric rods. That's way too fancy.
Really? Well, I guess we must have done it like really deep because we've done it a few times, but
I've
I
seen
depends
them,
what you mean by deep sea
but
fishing.
that is a fancy thing. Electric rods. Not everybody has electric rods, but that's pretty cool that you have those because I'm told I probably wish I had. I one time I caught an amberjack and I didn't know what I had, and I was struggling with it, and I was probably your age, and my dad was one that firmly believed if you hook the fish, you have must reel in the fish. So an amberjack. I don't know if you've ever caught an amberjack, but it's like literally bringing up a concrete block. So
Yeah.
it, it's very very tough to get a big one up, and he happened to be a big one. So what do you think? You have any fishing goals? Is there a certain fish that you hope to catch that you have not caught?
Well, for fishing, I feel like I would want to catch when I would want to catch like a nice like it doesn't have to be a particular fish, but I want it to be a big one. Cause I will like to brag sometimes, and I feel like if I caught a big fish, that would be a good thing to brag on.
You want some bragging rights, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I know I can't. That's what fishing's all about. You got to tell some stories. But it's always really good when you don't have to tell those fish tells and you can actually say, "Look at my mount back there," and show your fish off. So that's pretty good goals. I'm talking about, I like that. You have any advice? What advice would you give me on spending time with my grandkids, taking them out fishing? What advice would you give anyone?
Well, as from a younger kid's perspective, I would say, um, I mean, well, for advice, I would kind of say take them out, and I would say don't just like give it to them and say figure it out. But I would definitely let them be very independent with it, show them what to do, and try to see what they do. And then you could, if they do it wrong, you could show them the correct way, but kind of see how they work before before you like say something. Because I've noticed that with my dad, he'll say, um, oh my gosh, I just lost my train of thought. Wait, what
You're
was I
too
saying?
you're you're too young for that. There's none of
Oh,
that.
so my dad will say, like, even if I've done it 1,000 times, he'll be like, okay, so go that way. Don't get it caught up in Riley's net. I'm like, Daddy, I already know. I know what to do. But
Well, those are good because those are skills that you've learned fishing. It's great that you said that. Like, what kind of skills do you think that teaches you when you're young like that fishing? What do you think that you learn?
well, depending on like the age, if you're like super young, then I feel like it'll develop some sort of like, well, I feel like it kind of just, um, I don't know.
It's like, okay, so like playing video games, it gives you coordination and everything.
Yeah,
So when you're fishing, I think when you're younger, it teaches you certain skills. Like, for instance, you brought up that you told daddy that you know not to get your line around this because your line can wrap around your fellow fisherman's line and so forth. So it teaches you different skills. And so it's very good.
yeah,
Let's
and
see.
I've reading the article actually, I saw that it said it helps kids develop motor skills at a young age. And I
Yes.
thought, and I was like, well, how does that work? And then I kind of thought about it for a little bit. And then I realized like hand eye coordination and a bunch of other stuff. So I realized that
Yes.
would actually be a really good thing.
Yeah, you have to pay attention. I'm telling you, you really have to pay attention. And I lost my train of thought. It was so funny. I was reading something as you were asking me something. I lost my train of thought. I can't seem to get it back at the moment. See, this stuff happens, Addie. It's not just you. It happens. Um, but yeah, you're right. It does teach you stuff like that. Do you know how to tie knots? Like, if you learn that, how to tie your hook on your line?
Yeah, so my dad taught me maybe like a few years ago. Like he would always do it for me. And then he taught me and I started doing it by myself. I realized how to like tie on a weight, re-tie on if a hook or a lure, depending on what type of fishing you're doing. But I'll try to do it when I can, but if it's been a while and I'm a little rusty, I'll kind of forget, and then it just turns out wrong, and I knocked the whole, and I didn't do it
Do
right.
you, do you know when you should put on a weight?
When you wait, I think I know this. When you so if it's like deeper waters, you should do it, or if you're catching like a certain size fish. Am I right?
Well, I'm telling you, you're right on the deeper water, but it matters about the current. So you want
Oh,
to make sure that your bait gets all the way down to the bottom. So that depends on what size type of weight that you use for that. So that's really good. And then also, different size hooks for different size fish, different type of line for what type of fishing you're doing. So there's all different kinds. I love to fish. I'm telling you, we'll need to go fishing. You and I talked about going out and doing some stuff. Maybe we'll go fishing together.
I'm sure we will. We could get
And
Papa
we'll see.
and see who
Hey,
has.
that's what we should. We should get Papa to go and show him who really catches the biggest and the best fish.
Yeah,
I
we could
think
have
that's what we
competition.
should do, right? So, what do you know about uh, sustainability fishing? Do you know about that?
I do. That's a big one, and it's kind of been a pretty big problem in Florida. It could be all over, but I just know it has been. People will either catch a fish and they will bring it home and eat it, and that is awesome because that is what you're supposed to do. That's a great idea. But when people do it as a sport, which is totally okay, they catch it and then they kill it, but they don't eat it, is it's going to waste. If you want to
That's
do it as a sport, you should catch it and then take a picture maybe, but then throw it back and try to save it.
right. It's funny. Carol just said probably teaches you patience. Fishing, she's so right. How did we forget about that? But I'm telling you, it has to teach you patience, right? Because
It
I've waited for a very long time and nothing's ever bitten.
is probably true. Um,
Hi. Have you had
I,
to wait for a long time, Addie?
there has been a few times, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I've like given up. It's taken a few times, like too long.
No.
And so I'll be like, I'll just be like waiting there, and I'll get like cranky and annoyed at other people because I'm not very patient, and so I'll just be like,
Is that what happens? Is that the look you give?
"That's the look I get."
I kind of have the same look too. But I'm not a quitter. I'm telling you. I that's one thing, and you never give up. You need to know when to give up, but never give up. So try to understand that, but never give up. But I know that that was a good one, Carol, because you have to be super, super patient when
I
you're fishing.
100%.
So it's always good, like, to go back, and it's always important to people should go to Fish and Wildlife and check out the regulations, make sure that you have your fishing license and so forth. You got all that? You don't have to have one.
No, I don't. But I definitely, I know this is off track kind of, but I can, in a month, I can get my scuba diving license. And I'm very
And you
excited
like to
about that.
scuba dive? I'm scared of sharks.
Oh, well, there's been a few times I've been scared, and then there's been a time where I'm just like, those things are so cool. But, no, I think they're actually pretty interesting, depending on the size.
Sharks,
If I saw a great white, I'd be like, peace, I'm out. But it's
right?
kind of funny
Sometimes
because,
they show up in the Gulf.
yes, they're
I'm
really
scared
common
of
in
sharks.
Florida, so it's like
You
a
know,
pretty bad state to live
I
in.
would I would love to scuba dive, but I would have to be in a bubble, like a complete shark-proof bubble. Or I've even looked into investing in shark pods, the anklets that you wear to keep the sharks away. But I have a fear of sharks that it's like no other. And when I'm snorkeling, because I think I told you yesterday that I know everything about seashells. Like, it's my favorite thing. I studied conchology and everything, and I love seashells, and I love to snorkel,
Really?
except I stay on the shoreline because I'm scared of sharks. Like, if I can't put my feet down, all I hear is the Jaws thing the whole time. They're looking for me, Addie, in the water. The shark is literally looking for me. When I put my toe in the water, the shark says she's in the water. They call it the other sharks, go get her. Telling
Uh,
you, that's what happens.
do you what are you like most afraid of? What would it be
Being
like?
eaten.
There is really.
Being eaten.
So actually, I heard this documentary and it was kind of weird. I was reading it the other day, and it was saying that a vending machine is more likely to hurt you than a great white. And I was just
Really?
like, a vending machine? How does a
I don't
vending
believe.
machine even hurt me? And then I was like,
How
it's
how
gotta be.
how does that work? How does
I
the
don't
Vinny?
even know. I was
The
like,
only
it's
time does it fall over on you? Are you trying to get? You know what? I know what it is. You know
what?
when you use the vending machine and then the
Yeah.
thing comes out and it gets stuck, and then you start to shake it.
Yes.
Probably falls over, or the person that sticks their arm up there to grab it and your arm gets stuck. I don't know. I still don't believe them. I still think the shark knows when I get in the water, they call their buddies up, they sharpen their teeth, and they say, "Go get her. Scarlet is in the water. Miss Scarlet is in the water."
Well, uh, that is funny, but I kind of feel like that's not true because wouldn't I would think like sharks have control of themselves. A vending machine is literally a machine. So I'm like, a shark has actually like proven to hurt people. I've seen like that happen, but I've never seen a vending machine squash
I know.
anybody. So
We're gonna we're gonna have to look this up. We're gonna have to investigate the vending machines a lot more. But to get back to the fishing, um, you know anything about lionfish?
actually a little bit. So I've actually seen them a little bit here and there, and I remember when I was really young. I think it was like 4 or 5. One of my like youngest memories. My papa he caught one, and it was on the deck, and I saw it, and I was like, "What is that?" And he go over like I was ready to like touch it, like pick it up, and he goes, "Do not touch that!" And I like jumped back like 4 feet because I was like, because he scared me. And then and then I remember getting taught about it, how they're very dangerous, very venomous, and that was a very interesting story about them.
Yes. So they pretty much have taken over. So they're not from here. They're actually from the Pacific waters, and
Really,
they they believe that someone probably had one as a pet, then they release it into the wild, and they multiply very quick. They lay lots of eggs every year, and they're kind of taking over Gulf Coast waters. And I
really.
don't know if you're aware, but like they have a big appetite and they love to eat everything and they don't have any natural predators. So I don't know if you saw in this issue as well as our kids fishing article, but we did an article on um, the lionfish and how you, me, other people that are spear fishing or diving for lobster, or they're just going down, they can actually help. And it's open season right now until October 1st to get rid of them. And I heard they taste really good. They say that they taste like lobster.
They
Some people.
actually they have so there's a restaurant, I think it's in Disney Springs actually,
Uh-huh.
called Morimoto. We've been there a few times. Really good food. Um,
Shout out to Morimoto.
and they were serving lionfish. They were serving all sorts of things. Lionfish. They were serving sea urchin, and I
Okay.
tried it, and it tasted really gross. I don't recommend it. But
Sea urchin, huh?
no. But I was like, I didn't even know you could eat them. And turns out it's they kill a bunch a year, and I was like, wow, thanks. I don't gotta see
I
them
wonder
as
who
a.
eats this. I wonder who eats the sea urchin because my experience with sea urchins are always finding them dead on the beach and they do not
Mhm.
smell good at all. They smell very gross. And they
Yes.
can't have that much meat inside a sea urchin. Like, what do they do with it? I think
Well,
they make soups and stuff out of sea urchin. Not really
So,
sure.
they do. But at this place, they would like it came out in like a very tiny, it was like a course. It was a very tiny thing, but it was like a small triangle chunk, and it was like eating peanut butter, but didn't taste like peanut butter. It was like yucky. It
I'll try
was
to figure that one out. So you
no,
know that lionfish, that they have done a study, and there was over 70 different species, native species, that have been found in lionfish stomachs. They just eat everything. Like
oh
I
my,
said, there's since they yes, lionfish are they're very I guess they're very slow moving, Carol. So from my understanding, I've never experienced with lionfish. I just know what I've read and learned from others, but they're supposed to be super easy to catch right with a net. But they say that they are very, very yummy, but they're I guess most of them are small. Was the It was
there.
little.
It was pretty small. I mean, I've seen a few. So the biggest one I've ever seen would be about like that big,
Well, that's pretty big because then the
like
venomous spines.
the size of my head.
Okay, so
But
that's a
that was
pretty
like
big.
that was like the biggest one I've ever saw.
Was that with its
Normally,
spines? Because their
uh,
spines, I think, you can get up to like 18 inches or something.
really, I did
Yeah.
not know
They
that.
said that if you ran into the largest, I think the largest lionfish in Florida was 19 inches. And they said if you saw a 19-inch lionfish, it would look like something out of a sci-fi movie because its venomous spines would be so long.
Oh my gosh, I would have never, ever, ever wanted to see that.
You know,
But
it's terrible because they are beautiful. They are
I
very beautiful.
know they're a very majestic creature. It's
Yeah.
like their name fits so well with what they're called, a lionfish. They look just like that, just
Yep.
like a catfish. It looks just like a cat. It's got those whiskers and everything. But a
I like
lionfish,
that.
it just seems so much of what it's naming. You would think. Well, it's actually funny because lions are kind of dangerous too. They're big and well, not they are big, but not lionfish. But lions are big and scary, and I guess lionfish are too.
Yeah, I'm talking about they can do a lot of damage. They say like you don't want to get the venomous spines. You don't want to, stick yourself with that. I know that they're deadly to others, but I have to look this up because I don't know if they're deadly to us. I know they create a really bad infection and maybe that could turn into another thing, but I'm gonna have to find out the answer to that because I was kind of wondering like if we stuck ourselves with it, would it, could we die from that? Kind of
Well,
wondering.
I've actually so you know how if you have too much salt, it could potentially kill you. But if
Right.
you don't have enough of salt, it could potentially kill you. I
Yes.
feel like lionfish, if you have too much of it, it will eventually, like if you got stung all over, I feel like that would definitely kill you. But one, I think you would just have the next 2 weeks off of school. Maybe.
No messing with lionfish, Addie. I already see your brain working over there.
No.
So what do you think? Let's see. What are your plans that you're going to be doing because you have to leave soon, right?
Yes, I do.
So and you're in cheerleading and everything, correct?
Yes.
So what could you add to Florida Country's podcast? What do you think that you could contribute to Florida Country Magazine if you came on all the time?
Like, what do you mean by that?
So, what do you think? What would be the benefit of Addie coming on with me on our Florida Country podcast? What do you think what value could you add to the show?
One, no offense. I think that I am fun to listen to and I'm very entertaining. And two, I think that I bring on a different perspective. like for today, how it was about kids fishing, I feel like I could put that perspective from being a kid and my memories of it.
Hmm. Well, I
And
really enjoyed you coming on tonight, and I would look forward to you coming back for sure. And like I said, I think you're an absolute joy, Addie, and you are very smart, and you remind me a lot of myself when I was younger. And um, don't lose that. Don't, if they say you talk too much, that's fine, because I have the same problem. And I told you that I love what I do with Florida Country Magazine because I love talking to people. I love hearing their story, and I love telling stories of people that I've met along my journey. And I just think you will add value to the show. And you and I talked about going out and visit some places, and going with my grandkids, and maybe we'll go to Gatorama or something like that, and kind of showcase that for Florida Country TV. But I really look forward to working with you, Addie.
thank you. And I have one more thing back to Carol's comment when she said, "Are they easy to catch?" I remember one time in the Bahamas, they don't let you spearfish. They only let you use a pole spear.
Really?
So yes. Well, I
You've
guess
been
it
so
might.
many places. I just stay in Florida.
um, but it might have been just a certain part of the Bahamas. But where I was, you were only allowed to use a pole spear, so it had like three prongs coming out of it, and I saw one, and my dad said, "Get it," so I got it and I killed it eventually. But yeah, they were. It was kind of just like slow trucking along, and it was pretty easy. It wasn't
Yeah.
like a lobster where they like totally run away, but
Have you
it's pretty
caught
easy.
lobster? Have you caught
Actually,
lobster?
I have. We've been lobstering a few times. We've also been scalloping. That's really fun. Plus, they're really yummy. It's more of easier to scallop than it is to lobster because sometimes they're in deeper waters. But they're
The
both really
scallops
fun.
are like on sandbars, right? You go
Where?
scalloping on sandbars?
So actually in Homosassa is where we would go, and
Okay.
it would be like 5 to 7 feet of water. Pretty shallow, but not really sandbar, but very shallow. Shallow waters.
Oh, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. I'm talking about, I think, Addie, you've been way more places than I have. Um, I'm just a Florida girl. I'm not a big traveler. I like to experience our state. So I guess that's where I travel, because I do love to travel around the state. But I just love, you've been to Panama. I think you went to Mexico recently, right?
I did. It was very fun.
I saw all the pictures and stuff of that. So that looked just very interesting. So I see you have a lot of Papa Kelly in you for sure, because he goes a lot of places, and I just love it because he's very adventurous. Like you had told me that you really enjoy that about him, and your dad's a lot like him and everything. So I guess I will see you soon, right?
Okay, bye.
Bye. Bye, everybody. Thanks for checking in and welcoming Addie. I really appreciate it. So I will see you next week. Next Tuesday, we have Eagle Country on Tuesdays from 8 to 9. And then from there, bye, Yellow Ducky. And then from there, Thursday, we will have a podcast, and I might have some more. Maybe Addie's sister might come along. She's very outdoorsy too. But I appreciate everybody staying.